we are witnessing deep changes in our social value right now. And this is what we're talking about in this episode, professional values and how public relations can help you spread your values. Bonjour. Hello, everyone. I'm Nata, host of the Nata PR School podcast. You're a successful entrepreneur or marketing manager, and you're about to launch a new product or service, or you've been selling your goods for quite some time, but you want to learn how to increase your visibility, get known, and reach more clients? At Nata PR, we deal with real clients every day, and we'll teach you simple, fun, and honest PR solutions. You'll learn easy steps to combine PR to social media right now. Keep listening, and let's get started. Bonjour, hello, and welcome to this 118th episode of the Nata PR School podcast. Public relations and company values. Probably just like me, you are witnessing profound changes in what I call social tolerance. Now, before we go further, I just want to make sure you understand that I'm not an expert, neither an analyst of what's happening right now, of the social changes in our values. But I love to observe what's happening right now. In this podcast, I'm talking simply as someone that observes, probably just like you, what's happening in the society right now. Especially with the Me Too, the hashtag Me Too, the hashtag Black Lives Matter, and all these hashtag cancel, the cancel culture, cancel this, cancel that, cancel a brand. It's very scary, I find, what's happening out there. And I'm, of course, fascinated by the mass movements that really, most of the time, is coming from social media and can spread very fast. I'm interested by all these big changes, of course, first personally, because I honestly didn't believe, if someone would have told me that some top leaders, that some of whom I've met, would fall off their pedestals, I would have never believed it. To me, I wasn't even thinking it would happen in this lifetime. It's very simple. So what's happening right now is what we used to tolerate now is no longer possible. We just went and very quickly from he's just like that, those guys who just were making some very, let's say, not necessary comments on people. So we were saying, well, they're like, that's the way they are, these people, but they're such amazing businessmen. Like, the rest was excusing everything. So we went from that to they've got to pay for what they've done in the past because now we consider it unacceptable. It's crazy, huh? It happened very fast. You've got to admit that that's quite a giant step from where we were. And of course, since I'm a woman, sometimes I have this deep feeling of sadness when I see how some women in some society don't have the freedom that I have, that I can share with my sisters and the women around me, especially the women in Iran and Afghanistan. Those women are completely deprived from freedom. And it's so, when I think about it, it makes me really sad because I feel like their society is not taking advantage of their minds, not taking advantage of so many beautiful women that could do amazing things, that have crazy talents. Maybe, some genius sometimes that we won't even ever discover. I find it very sad. And also many of these women could certainly help not only their family, but their fellow citizens. And wow, isn't it insane when you think of it, it's probably 50% in some society, 50% of the population under the cover and that we put aside and can't contribute to society. It's so sad. I've been in the communication world for 30 years. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. So I've seen those people acted when that's now defined as a toxic behavior. I remember when it was tolerated. So let's be very careful and watchful and sensitive to what the human race right now will no longer accept. And that is not acceptable even today. Because that in itself has a profound influence, of course, on our personal lives, but on our professional lives as well. So if you're a business owner, you're starting a business, really pay a close attention to your value, define them as quickly as possible. That's why I wanted to talk about company values in this episode, because as we saw at Adidas recently, and with many other companies that are quickly, taking back their sponsorships, or they decide to take back, their financial investment, it's also important to have these discussions now and to broadcast your values, spread the news about your values before the crisis happens, right? Otherwise, you will seem like to have a virtuous value and be all of a sudden so clean. But, if someone goes and interview your employees, you have to make sure that, they're going to say the same thing you're claiming. This is why sometimes companies withdraw very quickly and say, well, it's not in our values. But are you sure that everybody in your company is aware of your values? So if you decide that bullying is not part of it, you have to make sure that it's not happening between your employees, and some of your manager don't perform in that way and are aware of your values. This is where public relations can really help you spread the news and lay out your values, work with you, define them, and tell your story. So how do you handle these transitions? For example, you can decide to say, well, we want equal pay for men and women in our company. And how does it apply? What are the processes you've put in place? What are you doing when you are hiring people, an employee, and how do you let know you're for equal pay? As companies, employees can be amazing ambassadors, and they can really broadcast your values for you if they know about it. A value is what is held up as true, beautiful, and good from a personal viewpoint, or, listen to this, or according to a society criteria, and is given as an ideal to be achieved, something to be defended. We have different value systems, something you need to protect. And it also says this that I like. So values, what makes somebody worthy or esteem morally, intellectually, or professionally. So for me, values really refer to what we believe. It's kind of an accumulation of beliefs. So if you repeat it enough, a thought that's repeated, it becomes a value. And this is very important. This is what guides our society and motivate our behavior. So our values really define what's important for us. Values are, the scale that tell us who, especially when someone crosses them. This is when you're like, whoa, this goes too far. So, you can tell that my value is, I don't like when people lie. So to me, the truth is really top of my list. For example, if you have an employee lying to you and you feel it's unbearable. So you have the value of telling the truth. It's part of it. Should be written on your list of values for your employees. And of course, company values do reflect those of its leader, of its founder sometimes, right? And this is what's kind of, the top manager or the founder has to be kind of the guardian of these values. It is the basis for building a team, right? And this is because I've redefined my own values 2 years ago. I had some values, but I work with this amazing coach. If you need help, you can also contact Chris Plackey. She's an amazing woman, and she's an expert at helping you define your company values. So, of course, you can contact her or you can contact us if you want. And so it's important to define them as soon as possible, because once you share your values with your employees, you can also do it with the help of public relations and broadcast them on your social media and your website and make sure that your employees are aware of your own values. It's the heart and soul of your company. So public relations and company values. So I hope this little PR break in your life help you just, take the time to think about one aspect of your company. And values is really so important, especially now with everything that's happening on social media. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. If you have questions, you know where to find me, right? Nata@natapr.com. And hopefully you'll be joining me next week. À la semaine prochaine. Hey, you want to learn more about how to implement PR strategies? Head on to natapr.com and get on our list. You will also receive the Nata PR model on how to create a successful PR campaign. If you want to become a client, just send us an email to nata@natapr.com. Talk to you next week. À la semaine prochaine.